This is Dan Bjorklund, Agronomy and Precision Ag Lead for the Landis Grow Solutions Center, and I'm out near one of the research plots at the Farnhamville research location where we have 180 acres of applied research in all manners of agronomic practices. So we mentioned that earlier. Today we're going to talk about stage of growth of these plants, and then we're going to take you out on just a walk to see what we can see out there, what's currently going on with this crop. Okay, here we've got corn. The way you stage corn, and this is important for timing herbicide applications and labels. You got the first rounded tip leaf here and a collar right at the stem. So we got a V1 plant, got a collar here for V2, and we've got a collar here for V3. This plant is in a transitional state. Up until this point in time, it's really deriving most of its nutrition from the seed. And believe it or not, the seed energy carries this plant for a long time. You can see the mesocotyl right here is a tube-like structure, and looks to me like with where that mesocotyl is and where we have the soil line, we had a good 1.5 and 3/4, so perfect planting depth. Coming off of the seed, the very first root was the radicle and the seminal root system. So this is what this area, basically the seed and this part of the root has been sustaining this plant, and now we have the first ring of nodal roots coming off the crown area, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 of them. And plus we have this plant factory now with 3 collars, and we've got some additional leaves coming. This factory is producing energy through photosynthesis. You're getting your nutrient uptake through this root system, which really brings a really key point. We don't know what the rest of this year is going to look like. We know that we have some pretty decent stands out here. Things are looking pretty good. Whatever we can do between now and V10 to further build this root system might be huge later on if we get stressed in July and August. Like some people are talking about this being a strong La Nina season. So it's something that you might want to consider. You can visit with your account lead on what are some of the possible things you could come in at V6 with your post herbicide application and really help to, I'm not going to say stress proof this corn, but definitely give it the potential to mitigate potential stresses. So this is a stage of development, really key stage as we transition. And sometimes before this transition is completed, you look out the cornfield and you got yellow areas and it just doesn't have that nice deep green look. That will change in the next 7 days as this transition completes. So that's where we're at, stage of growth. Now, let's go ahead and see what we can see out in the field as far as potential situations that we should look at. What are the current agronomic situations occurring in the field? One of the first things that I like to look across the stand rather than down the rows. And here you can see we had a gap, and then we have spacing these 2 plants together. We got 3 plants there, but 2 of them are so close together, that's going to have an impact. So when you're looking at the quality of the stand, now this is looking pretty good. Man, what happens at planting time sets the stage for any kind of yield potential the entire season. And we're pretty good here. You're never going to have perfection, but when you look at trying to improve yield, we don't have these. I'd love to have this great agronomic practice that would give you a 20% yield potential every year. It's trying to get those 2 to 3 to 4% where we can increase yield. And sometimes it's reducing the stress that can take away from yield. So, we look down these rows and it looks, phenomenally good. But when you start breaking down this stand, we can obviously see situations here And this can happen hybrid by hybrid as well. So first thing, quality of the stand, I'd give this one medium. Here's another situation that comes up every year. And you can see the two plants on this side and on this side are that normal V3 stage. This one right here came up later, and it's only got two collars. One right there, one right there. There will be a yield reduction. We've many times taken and flagged these individual plants to show people what they lost. It'll put on some type of an ear, but it's going to compete and be out-competed with this one. It's going to be the runt in the litter. And so you want to avoid, you want to look at the quality of stand, you want equal spacing, you want them all up as quickly as you can at the same size. You know, something else I noticed this year, and you can tell, nice and mellow. Now, I don't have a penetrometer out here. We got moisture down here, but what I like is that when I'm walking in this corn, it's not just rock hard compacted. And I've been in some cornfields today that are just absolutely rock hard. That is not going to provide the best environment for the rest of the growing season, especially if we have stress. Okay, got a situation going on here. We can obviously see the veins are striped. The leaves are droopy, and then you got a plant that's not affected. I've seen this in end rows, I've seen this over the years. We'll give you a chance in the comments section to tell me what you think this is, and then at our learning groups, which we are going to start on June 30th, we'll go over what was going on in this cornfield. Here's something else that I'm looking at in another field, and we got this purpling. Pretty significant. The ground here, pretty compacted. It would be interesting to have a penetrometer to see where we're at. My thought here is that this is genetics. Some genetics do this early in the season before you transition to all of the nodal roots and more nodal roots. This is V3 corn, and so it's switching, as we said earlier, from the seminal root system to the nodal root system, and as soon as it develops further, we'll probably grow out of this. In some cases, you know, depending upon compaction or whatever, it can be a little bit worse. But this is a particular field that I've noticed, and a situation that I've noticed in some fields, so I thought we would point it out. The next is we moved north of where I was. We're not seeing any purpling in these plants, and much more mellow soil. So I mean, it does show you that soil conditions, man, they are critical. Compacted soils, same genetics, purpling, indicating not getting enough phosphorus there, and right here looks good. Actually, it looks like we are maybe a leaf stage ahead here. We were at V3, some of those other plants, and I'm seeing V4 plants here. We started at Farnhamville, and now we're north of Highway 3, quite a ways north of Farnhamville, and we looked at several fields. And most of this corn is at V3, which we said earlier is that transitional stage. Nodal roots are developing. I think the most important thing, if you remember anything from this video, it's this. If you are concerned about stress later on this year, and you should be, quite possibly, I would do everything I can in these next few stages from V3 to V6, V7 to try to build as good a root system as I can. That is the assembly line for that plant factor we've talked about over and over and over again. It may pay huge dividends later in the season. And if you're interested in some of the options, down in the comment section, just post your questions and we'd be happy to help you. This is Dan Bjorklund, agronomist with the Landis Growth Solutions Center, signing off.